Hello and welcome to week 3 of the UDL. Today I'm going to go through and point out a few key learnings. The first key learning that I would like for us to look at is from the book, The UDL and Blended Learning by Katie Novak and Catlin Tucker. There were 3 things that really stood out to me in this book. The first thing that I liked was becoming design thinkers, and all of the wordage and verbiage and the way that this was said is actually from that book. And I do have a slide that credits Katie and Catlin at the end of this slide. But the first thing they said was that we need to focus on the user outcome. I think too often as teachers, sometimes we think about those fun activities we have in our class. We're not necessarily thinking about what the user themselves actually needs. To diversify and empower the team. So once again, as a teacher, we really want to be able to give our students, our audience, exactly what they need to empower them. And then also restless reinvention in the classroom. Sometimes it's easy to get into a rut when you're teaching, but every single year, we need to be thinking about what we can do to improve our classroom. The second thing that was pointed out in this book that I really liked was the UDL design cycle. I think anytime that you're taking something that's a little bit outside the box, especially, it's nice to have a pattern to go by. The first thing that we need to do if we're going to use UDL in the classroom is the pre-work part, and that's where we look at our academic standards. We actually break those down. Step 2 is to develop a clear goal. Step 1 is to develop the clear goal. Step 2 is to make sure that we have varied assessments based on the clear goal. And I think it's interesting that we go straight from the clear goal to the assessment. But the truth is, that's really what we want. We want to make sure that our user outcome is exactly what we're going for. Step 3 and 4 is to develop flexible materials. And then step 5 is to teach with the UDL. So everything that we're learning in class, we actually get to apply that. Step 6 is to reflect on what worked and change what didn't. I also really enjoyed learning about the student conference. I've used a model similar to this when I was teaching East, which is basically the high school version of CAST. But students actually have to prepare for the conference. There's a pre-conference where the students are preparing and the teacher as well. And then the teacher and the student meet together, and there's clear goals for what is expected of the student and the teacher during the conference. And then post-conference is basically set up for students to really conference with their parents and make sure the parents are getting the information that they need about what the student's learning in class. The other book that we are using in this class is the UDL Lesson Planner, the step-by-step guide. And there were a couple of things in this reading this week that I really thought were amazing that we really need to be brought to the surface. The first thing that I learned in the first chapter that we read was learning must be meaningful, engaging, and sustainable. And I really like the word sustainable because too often as teachers, we come up with great ideas, but if they're not sustainable for our students or for ourselves, obviously that's going to be a problem. So I like the fact that that was put in. And then the assessments themselves must be flexible, accessible, reliable, and valid. And all of those I feel like are really strong words to use, verbs to obtain when we're doing assessments. UDL engagement, I like how CAST has really broken all of these down. And when we look at empowering our students, we look at the access, building, internalizing, and the goal setting. And so when we're talking about access, we want to recruit interest. When we build, we want to sustain effort and persistence. And once again, we see that sustainability piece. We want to internalize. That's where we teach our students how to do self-regulation. And then the goal needs to be purposeful and motivated. If we use this learning, the UDL learning, this is something that everybody can benefit from, all of the students in our class, not just the mainstream students. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. And I want to leave you with references. And so when we look at the multiple means of engagement, that did come from the CAST Center. And then we've mentioned both of the books that are required textbooks for this course. Out of everything I've read so far, I have loved Catlin's stories. The homing pigeon this week was just really made me think about where students are coming from and how they imprint on people and sometimes teachers. And so I just think any of us can make a difference for our students, but I just love this model. I think that there's a lot of good that can come out of this. And so this has not been a quick read for me as far as trying to learn and take it in. I know this is going to be something I'm going to have to go through more than once, but I have really enjoyed that. So thanks so much for watching.